last video, I dropped some controversial knowledge that your monthly cycle is actually a form of detox and renewal. The problem isn't just that we ignore that process, it's that we actually actively get in its way. So let's start talking about how we stop doing that. Number one thing I want you to really pay attention to here is the concept of rest. I totally know this is countercultural. We have been taught to push through, to prove that our cycle does not slow us down. The advice to just rest feels insulting, impossible, or like I'm telling you, you need to just lay around and be lazy for 3 days. That is not the advice I am giving. There's way more to the concept of rest than it just sounds. Your physiology is actually in the process of having your cycle. Your energy are moving downward and outward. In Ayurveda, we call this governing downward flow Apana Vayu. And this downward flow is the engine of the movement of your cycle. You don't honor its needs when you don't rest, when you push hard and overstimulate your system and flood your senses with input, directly against that downward flow. You are creating an upward, scattered, agitated energy that literally fights the natural rhythm your body is attempting to move in. So what do we do when we can't just lay around all day, but we still want to take rest? We rest our senses. There is an understanding that one of the biggest things that throws us out of balance is sensory overload. And during your monthly cycle, it is when your system is already more open energetically, more sensitive, so overloading exacerbates the problem. This is why for those first few days, the practice of being really mindful of what your senses are taking in can be a very beneficial practice. And so let me give you some examples of things you could be mindful of. Sense of sight. Maybe what you do during these first 3 days is that you reduce scrolling or take a screen break altogether. The whole idea is softer, gentler input for your eyes. Let's talk about our hearing, what we hear. We want to take in more positive, inspiring, or uplifting sounds. So maybe less news, listen to some classical music, or even just something that makes your inner girlhood dance. You just be quiet. Okay, you get the point. We could go through all 5 senses, and I'm happy to do that in a longer format, but I only got 3 minutes. Idea is that you're not just resting your body, you're lowering the volume on everything coming in so that your system has the space to do what it's actually primed to do, which is to detoxify and release emotional and energetic imprints that have been accumulated over the month. This little piece is the crux of how we support our cycle, but it is by no means the exhaustive answer. There's much, much more to this. If you're interested in getting into it all, please subscribe. I've got a lot more content coming out on this subject. But before we layer anything else on, we start here. Peace out, y'all.